Hello, my name is Dr. Arthur Matrunu. I've dedicated my life to providing surgical care to patients with heart disease. My life began in the slums of Soweto in South Africa, where I learned to overcome adversity and illnesses, including the death of my best friend. That's why I want to be a resource for you and your family for consultation related to heart and cardiovascular needs. You can learn more about me by visiting my website, which is at zuluchaskada.com.
Thank you. We have a fired up crowd here tonight. Hey folks, I'm Roland Bubba Grimes and this is the Roland Grimes Sports and Entertainment Show. And as always, I want you to join me in re-welcoming my esteemed co-host, Mr. Self-Empowerment, Wilbert Skipper. Stand together for me. Yeah, we love those delayed responses. Those are great. Hey folks, once again, we have a dynamite show in store for you today. This young lady is the owner of a distinguished business called My Relationship Revolution. I had to practice that 47 times, it was a tongue twister. She joined us today. We're shooting, taping live in Upper Marlboro, Maryland at the home of the beautiful and distinguished Giovanna Taylor, bank executive and owner of the G-Shop Boutique. Let's give her a hand for allowing us and empowering us as Skip and I started with this endeavor many segments ago, many episodes ago. We didn't envision that we'd have an opportunity to do this kind of project around such beautiful and distinguished and professional people, but that's what happens when you work with Wilbur Skipper and you put together something that people like. So we're going to continue on with this project as we move forward. Again, I want to introduce you to the owner of My Relationship Revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mrs. Christy LittleJones. Now, you all may notice that Christy laughs at me from time to time because she knew me way back when. So she has some intimate knowledge about Roland Grimes that she's never going to share with you all. Ever.
I don't know. We may be able to change that.
We're going to open this segment up by asking you a question that's been burning in my mind for a little bit. Why did you decide to get involved with relationship counseling and directing? And it is from my estimation harder than rocket science. So what made you decide to get involved with this extraordinary endeavor, and what is wrong with you?
That's funny. I love family. I have a heart for marriage. And I don't know if you remember, I dated someone for about 8 years.
Yeah, I remember.
Through college. Mm-hmm. And 6 days before I got married, I had that pit in my stomach. Okay. And I thought it was pre-wedding jitters, because you date somebody 8 years.
Well, Dr. McClure said it might be a heart. I'm just sure.
But no. You think I'm supposed to get married, you was just pre-wedding jitters. Well, I had a pit in my stomach. I went forward with it anyway. And for 3 days after I got married, I cried uncontrollably. And I did not know why. And what I realized 3 years later was that my soul knew that that was not the man I should have married.
Wow. Wow. I did not know this.
Wow. This is so the soul gets involved with marriage. This is going to get deep now.
Whichever direction I was planning on going, we can really make a left right there. Okay, let's go.
Turn it that way.
Okay, so now 8 years in a relationship. Yeah. And it was essentially an exclusive monogamous relationship.
Monogamous, he was my best friend.
I remember.
Yes, loved him. But he was not the right man for me.
Were
as
you
far as husband.
Not the right woman for him as well?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably not. Because
how did you have this call? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because and what I realized over the last many years, is that a lot of women morph into people that they're not in order to have the dream of getting married. So I knew at a very young age that I always wanted to be a wife and a mother.
Right, okay, I heard that story,
yes.
those stories, okay.
And so, you know, dating somebody, 8 years, excited, this is the one, I'm gonna get married. And then you get 6 days before you get married,
you have a pit in your stomach.
You have a pit in my stomach. And I thought, oh, pretty wedding jitters, this is normal. But it wasn't normal. And I realized 3 years later, oh my gosh.
The marriage lasted 36 months?
No, 3 years. Yeah.
Okay.
3 years.
Okay. Now, Skip, before I turn this over to you,
I'm getting I'm practicing my breathing techniques because there's something that's coming from my soul that's going to be included in my next question. It's a soul question.
So this is what I'm thinking. Christy, you said something that was very significant. You said, and I've heard even from my girlfriends growing up, how they grow up and they can't wait to become, or they look forward to getting married and becoming a wife. Yeah. Now, in case you all don't know, boys grow up not thinking about that at all. Boys grow up thinking they want to go to the NBA, the NFL, or become heart surgeons. So right off the bat, you're spending 20, 25, 30 years thinking about something that we like never think about.
Easily.
Okay, so how do we then come together at some point and actually make this marriage stay happen if we're just trying to play golf and you all are trying to jump the broom? How do we make this thing work?
I feel like innately, men and women innately want a deep, committed relationship. They do. They absolutely, I do believe that.
You know where I'm going.
Yes, I know you're going. But I mean, women want the deep. You know, we were made. God made Adam, and He made Eve as a helpmate because a man shouldn't be alone, right?
Correct.
So we have a deep desire
to have. God gave this to us.
Yes.
For each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
But after 36 months, you realize it wasn't for that person. Skip, you know what I realized and why I created my relationship revolution. I realized that if I reduce who I am in order to get married, to have the dream, how many other women do not get married whole and complete and understand their power and their influence and really the position of a wife? How many other women do that? So many, because they get married, they're shocked, stunned, and amazed. Well, there's no training.
And they're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I should have never married this person. He was the wrong one I got married to, but okay, let me have a baby, because maybe that'll make it better. Then they get married and have a baby, and then they realize that he hasn't changed. He still wasn't the one they should have married, but now we got divorced.
Well, okay, so on that point, do you think that in some ways that with some women, it's a rush to get married, some thinking that, okay, well, almost like some women believe that when their biological clock is ticking and they want to have kids, they need to do this before a certain age. Do you find that to be the same in relationships where sometimes women just say, you know, I'm not going to be here, I want to be there. So let me go ahead and do that, even though from an internal standpoint, they feel like this might not be the right guy, but they still go ahead and do it.
Absolutely. I coach, my husband and I'm currently married.
Yes.
Husband and I coached pre-married couples for 7 years. And we also coach couples who are in crisis. Every single couple who's in crisis knew whatever they're in crisis over, they were in crisis before they got married. Every single one of them.
That's deep.
Every last one. When I talk to the woman, did they treat you like this before? Did they do this before? Did they say this before? The answer is always yes. So they reduced what they knew. They reduced, authenticity, confidence, courage, whatever you want to call it. But they reduced that in order to get married and have the dream.
But when I was growing up, or even as I became an adult, I thought that was called compromise. You call it reducing. What's the difference between the two?
Women are very powerful. We are very powerful beyond what we even know. And I think a lot of women...
Now you're scaring me.
Yes, but I think that's the thing. And that's what I coach women to do, to really master their independence without intimidation. Because a lot of women can be very intimidating to men. So they, we shrink back and they're not leading, which men naturally are supposed to lead. But they are afraid to lead because we're so intimidating, because we're very powerful. So compromise comes where you don't compromise authentically what you desire and what you want, but you have a conversation about it. So let's say that you want to send your child to public school, I want to send him to private school.
Use that as an example.
Yeah, what are my pros for sending him to private school? What are yours? Let's talk about it. Okay, we're not paying $25,000 a year in this area to send our child to kindergarten.
So we don't have to split them in half?
No, so we talk about it though, but I shouldn't reduce what I feel is important for our family. So compromise doesn't mean reduce what you believe.
Okay, you can use the term reduce. So you simply mean, if I understand you correctly, are you saying that in this situation you talk about reducing, reduction, that you retreat or you regress or you put who you are in a box?
Absolutely.
Like I've been told earlier, put people in a box.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you lose what?
You lose your identity, you lose confidence, you lose hope. A lot of women are very unhappily married when they thought that this was the dream that they wanted. And I think a lot of times they're unhappily married because they didn't say, I don't like when you do that to me. I don't like when you treat me like
Something
that.
they grew
Right,
on.
over when they're dating.
Yeah, over a period of time.
Like I really feel like I want you to open the door for me. But he's like, yeah, I don't need to open the door for you. You can get out yourself. But they reduce what's important to them, or they, kind of compromise what's important to them. Really, they betray themselves.
Okay.
Women often betray what's important to them in an effort to feel love or to have the attention of a relationship.
Okay, now when we come back, we're going to talk, because you talked about the women's side. Now, obviously, my relationship revolution, you're approaching both the male and the female. So we're going to talk about the male side in a second. Hey folks, this is Roland Grimes Sports, not just sports and entertainment show. Christy Little, my relationship revolution. We'll be back in a few minutes. Sit tight, I know you will. See you in a minute. Welcome back to the Roland Grimes Sports, not just sports and entertainment show. Actually, I'm surprised that I'm still here, but I am. So here we go. Christy LittleJones, you talked a little bit about what's happening to the women as they're making this journey toward marriage.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the men.
Well, you know that we live in a fatherless society where I believe that a lot of men don't know how really what is expected and what is required of them as husbands unless they have a man really helping nurture, teach them, help them to build their confidence. And unfortunately, I've experienced a lot of women don't know how to do that either. They don't know how to build a man's confidence because of their expectations of how men should lead their families. So we have a very
disjointed.
Yes, that's a good word. Disjointed relationship. 76% of African American children are born to single parents. That's a lot.
That's not a lot. That's incredible.
That's incredible. And it's something like over 80% of children will never live in the same house with both parents. What does that say about the black family?
I know, for example, I remember shortly after college, I introduced a guy to my father. And the guy said, okay, hey, and then he stopped me. He looked at me, he said, you're what? I said, my father. He said, father, like father. I said, yeah, father, biological father? I said, yes. And this guy was 41 years old.
Wow.
And he took a step back and tears came out his eyes. And he said, in my 41 years, I had never seen a black man with a father. He said, not only that, I don't know any black men whose father is in their life.
Yeah.
Now he's 41 years old, grew up, I believe, in the New York City area. He had never seen, in 41 years, a black man standing in the same room with his father.
Yeah.
So when you say fatherless, what is your definition of a fatherless society?
That men are looking to sports figures, celebrities, to define what their relationships should look like. And Hollywood's relationships are not one to...
Those aren't real?
No, those are not to model. You should not be modeling ways to have a relationship from Yes, no.
So Billy D. Williams from Lady Sings the Blues?
No.
Wow. We're taking different twists and turns on this, so just bear with us. We're going to get there.
No, we're not.
Let's talk a little bit, and I hope I'm not getting off track here, but let's talk a little bit about
There's no track.
the reality shows. Can you do that one more time? There are so many reality shows out there. The Atlanta Housewives, the Philadelphia Housewives, the Mob Housewives. I'm sure the women in the audience, they know what I'm talking about. From my own perspective, I don't think that helps the situation at all.
It doesn't.
Because most of the few shows that I've had a chance to watch for a little bit, it's all negative stuff.
It is. It is. And actually,
So we're actually promoting this in society,
Absolutely.
but at the same time, we expect for that part of it to get better.
But if
How does that happen?
But if something we're watching, I mean, what role or what place does it play with us? I mean, obviously, it's something that we're consuming. The numbers are up, so.
because people like drama, people like negativity. That sells. I actually one of my roommates from Syracuse, she casts for Basketball Wives.
Yes.
So talk to her about, reality shows, if it's not drama, if it's not like meanie, then the stations won't buy it. Yeah.
So is it safe to say that there's the promoting of this is well alive?
Absolutely.
And it is a priority.
That's her job. Her job is
Sure. No, I understand that part.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand that part. But, if we're talking about educating people, then if drama sells and that's what's being promoted, then how do you expect people that can't shut that off to get better on this side with the educational piece when they're being consumed with this?
One relationship at a time. So really, getting to a point where because my global mission is to help reduce the rate of divorce in our country. So if I can help men and women to become whole and complete before getting married, really understanding what marriage is about on the other side of I do, I believe that so many women and men would wait, or they would become more prepared.
Okay, they'd make a better decision.
They would make a better decision. They wouldn't rush to, get married. Oh, I love this person.
Love is not a reason to get married.
No. Absolutely not. Love will not keep you there. Love will not keep you married. Because love is an emotion. And emotions change. When he offends you, you're like,
Right.
oh, no.
This is like one of my boys,
Right.
I grew up with, and he said
No,
something
love is an emotion, absolutely.
Right.
So if they offend you, then you withdraw. You pull away, intimacy, and then he's like.
But all the songs tell us, I love Luther, and all the songs tell us that love, endures it all. But you're saying that you don't really believe that's the case. So what is it, or what are some of the things that makes these marriages work? If love is not the everlasting component, what are some of the enduring elements of successful marriage?
The biggest one is your faith. You have to have a common faith. You have to believe in one faith together to be able to rely on. So for my marriage, it's God. And so we both have a relationship with God. So when my husband offends me, I'm able to say, okay, God, you made him, you love him, show me how to love him in this situation. How can I get through? How can I forgive? So I look to a higher power bigger than me, because my emotion would have left a long time ago.
Okay, so now, out of respect to you, you tell me how much to broach the subject, okay? Now, I know a little bit about your history. I know a little bit about your family history. Does that, or did that play into some of how you became interested in creating this relationship revolution motif?
I think so. I love my family. My family is my heart, and my parents were married for 23 years and got a divorce when I was a senior in high school, and it devastated me. I was devastated, and I was like, I was in denial, really, for all through college, because both of my parents went to Syracuse. They both came to all of the games and all that. So I pretended like nothing ever happened, but I was so distraught and sad about them not being married anymore that I just thought, oh no, I can never do this. And that's why I struggled with even my first marriage. And, you know, and I realized that there had been like a pattern of like generational situations where my aunts and uncles are divorced, and, you know, so it was something that I wasn't aware was such a big situation even in my generational bloodline. So.
Interesting. Skip, before you ask that question, I'm going to say something to you folks out there that Skip and I talk about very often. Here on our show, we're trying desperately to discuss things from a perspective where we can inform, educate, and maintain some positivity. But as we were even talking to different networks or people within this field about broadcasting this type of program, we were told in many instances and by different people that networks don't want these kinds of shows because nobody wants to watch them. There's not enough drama, there's not enough cursing and bashing and beating each other in the head, etc. That you find even on a lot of talk shows. You know, we're not doing shows about some 35-year-old guy who's sleeping with his 15-year-old stepdaughter. So people are saying all over this industry that people don't want these kinds of programs, and especially folks that look like us doing these kind of programs. Well, we beg to differ. So the kind of responses that Skip and I have received from this program really indicate that that is not the case. The main thing is, though, it's very easy to promote this drama that you see on television. It's a lot more difficult to promote these kind of programs because the budget for the drama is a whole lot bigger than it is for this kind of substance.
Right.
So if this is what's coming into our homes, and this is what we're consuming, I learned a long time ago, Skip, that, and I learned it from the Bible, that what you take in is what you put out. So if I sit and I watch the same thing, I mean, I know when I used to go and watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, when I came out of the theater, man, I wanted to get into a fight. I thought I could pick up a car myself. You know, sort of like your mind starts getting programmed.
Yep.
But even with that, Skip, you had a question.
Well, before I ask the next question, I do have a question for Christy. I would just like to say that I do believe what you said about faith. I believe there's absolutely no way possible, shape, or form that you're going to achieve your goals and go as far as you can in life without faith. There's so many people that walk that way every day. They don't believe, or they believe when they want to believe. And one of the things that I can actually say that Roland and I, we have talked about a lot is God. You know, we've talked about how even with this platform that we have now, this is bigger than us. You know, God is leading this thing. We've stepped to the side and let God lead this, and Roland and I are just following suit, but God is leading this. Once Roland and I made a commitment to ourselves that we were going to do that, this show took off. It's taken off now. You know, we're making inroads. We're meeting people every day. You know, we're empowering people, but we're being empowered as well by God. So it does work. So I want to commend you for that. I mean, that kind of hit home with me, and I have to say that. Now, to the question for you.
And I'm going to have you answer the question after the break.
Sure.
I want you to put it out there.
Okay, the question I have for you when we come back. You and your husband do the counseling for couples before they get married. And I'm sure you counsel couples after they get married. When we come back, if you could just give us 5 important things that couples prior to getting married should hold on to, and couples after they get married should hold on to.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, folks, so we'll be back shortly. Roland Grimes Sports Entertainment Show. Sit tight. I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to join you in clapping right here. Now, this segment is going to be dynamite, so get your popcorn, sit back, relax, we're getting ready to get it on. All right? Christy. Skip asked you a question a little bit earlier about the 5, whatever it was. Skip.
The 5 questions before you get married, or the 5 things to hold on to before you get married, and also those same 5 or different same 5 or 5 things after you get married.
Okay. Before you get married, I think number 1 is to pursue your true identity. You really need to know who you are, what's important to you, in order before you pursue any kind of serious relationship. Number 2, I think what we talked about before is master your independence without intimidation. So really being very feminine. Women can be independent and strong, but feminine. You know, let's stay in our lane. We don't need to be the man and the woman in the relationship. So staying in your lane is important. Overcoming pain and fear is really important. So if you have a lot of baggage of hurt and pain in your relationship, it's important that you work through that you don't bring it into the relationship. I think to live what you believe is very important, and living what you believe is about integrity. So live what you believe without apology. If this is something that you believe, live it. There's going to be a man out there that will love you for that without you having to compromise that. And lastly, I think that it's really important to look at more than just the physical for your mate, because that physical will change. I think it's really important to really look at, does he have a servant's heart? Is he compassionate? Will he, you know, if something were to happen to you in labor, was he gonna be there? Is he gonna be like, come on, girl, you know, you just had a baby.
He's gonna be on the floor like most men in labor.
No, but I'm saying, like, if you are on bed rest for 40 weeks, is he going to be irritated, or is he going to be serving?
I thought you meant in the delivery room.
Right, no, if he's going to be serving you, you know, you will know these things beforehand.
Right.
So those are my
by how he responds.
Absolutely. That's before the first 5. When you get married, I think that it's important to, you know, beforehand as well, it's important to, in your process of discovering who you are, to recognize where your faith is. Faith is going to be a big component. And I'm not meaning like the religious practice of going to church, standing up, you know, taking communion, sitting down. But I mean like having a serious relationship with God where you really can hear his voice in your spirit and really be obedient to that spirit, because it keeps you safe. Okay. So, and then afterwards, I think once you get married, it's important to have that like faith with the person that you're marrying. So if you believe in God and he doesn't, it's going to be a problem down the road. It may not be immediate, but down the road it will be. Okay. And you know, with raising kids and all these other things. Right. And then also make sure that you serve one another. And you know, submission is a bad word for a lot of people, but I think submission is just staying in your lane. So when you're a wife, be a wife. When you're a husband, be a husband. If he's a leader, your job is to support him. It's not to be like, oh, he's the lead all and he makes all the decisions and your decision doesn't matter. But it's important to know that if he's to lead your family, that it's your job to support him in that and not necessarily combat him in it. I think also it's important to, you know, the servant's heart piece is huge. So when, you know, in the level of intimacy and relationship, which is, you know, helps you to just maintain oneness, that if he offends you, you don't pull that away. Okay. You don't. You continue to love him unconditionally. That's a big piece in marriage. You have to love unconditionally, even when you don't feel like it. Yeah. How many is that for?
4. You know I'm counting, Christy.
Okay. Last one is...
If you want to reach for it right now?
Okay, I'll think about it.
Okay. My relationship revolution. Yeah. Is it a charitable contribution or is it a business?
It's a business.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you get compensated for your work?
Well, I coach women. I coach single women now through a program, and it's a year-long program. It's called God Sisters International, and I help walk them through these steps of becoming whole and complete, embracing their power and understanding their influence, but also the positions that they hold as a woman, because we have a lot of them. And then I speak. I do a lot of speaking engagements, which is my favorite thing to do. Yeah. And I'm working on a book. It's called Would You Marry You?
Okay. Copyright that before.
Would you marry you?
People over here talking about hey, Cooney just gave me the time. Okay, so now, here's the thing. Let me tell you all a little bit about Christy LittleJones as we wrap up. And I do appreciate everything that you talked about. But let me tell you the first time that I met you, and you wouldn't remember this. But, and this is kind of a segue into who Christy Little is as a person and her history, so we'll take a couple of minutes. The first thing is you were visiting Syracuse University as a pre-freshman, and you were with your father. Her father is Floyd Little. Floyd Little is a Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame running back, played a number of years with the Denver Broncos, and also went to Syracuse University, where I played football, which is where I developed a relationship and a friendship with Papa Floyd. Having said that, when you were at this venue with your father, all of us were climbing over top of you to get to him. I mean, and you stood there, you sat there, you were gracious, you were respectful, and I know we were getting on your nerves because we were knocking you out of the way so we could shake hands with your father. Well, I'm sure that this scene has played over and over again in your life, and I know that even as he was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, you know, I know that and then you went to the same college as him, which I figured had their own pressures. Now, I was working at the school at the time, and we talked about you quite a bit, like, wow, how does she handle walking in these footsteps, not only of dad, but also of mom? Tell us all a little bit about what it was like, or what is it like to have grown up in a household with a father who is revered by so many people because of athletics alone. Of course, those who know him dig him for a whole lot more than athletics. You smile when you think about it. You smile when I mention his name. But I just thought that this thing was almost like tonsillectomy or whatever. That it was like when your tonsils taken out, trying to live this life as Floyd Little's daughter. Tell me about that.
I am daddy's little girl, and my dad has always been my heart since I was a little girl. And absolutely, you should be climbing over me to get to him, because I would too. Because he's as amazing of a father as he is a football player, as he is a motivational speaker. He is amazing. I had the best family. And growing up, my mom was an actress, and she was the first Black homecoming queen at Syracuse, and gorgeous model and all of this, and that's mom and dad. It just to me, it's so I never felt. I feel like they're amazing too. So other people who said they are amazing, it was just confirmation, because they are genuine people. They are not pretentious. They're not. My dad would give anything.
And he has.
He has. He would, see a little kid, oh my gosh, I love your tie. He would take it off right then and there. I don't care if it was a tie just given him the week before for his birthday. Because he knows that's the kind of heart I have as well. So I never felt like that. I would just get really excited because I know that that's his place. That's just part of who he is. So the guys who would line up, even the guys who would come over to the house, because I would bring them. No question. He wrote that in his book. Like even when I was in high school and I would date a guy, I'd always bring him over. You need to talk to my dad, because he'd be, wrong side of the tracks. Let him encourage you so you can be all you can be. And he's like, I would come home from work and I would have all these guys in my living room waiting to talk to me. Because I would.
Dad, he was building up a bank of hey, Daddy.
Dad's making
deposit this one in the bank.
Right. So I was like, Dad, you need some encouragement. He can do it.
Well, personally, I always admired you for how you handled all of that. But listening to you, and this is my first time actually getting to ask you, what was it like being in that situation? So now that you said it, it makes a lot of sense to me now. Please continue to do that. Pass it on to the generations after you. Hey, Skip, we're going to wrap up, man. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
I've been empowered.
Before we have a new relationship revolution?
I'm speechless for the first time, probably in a long time, but I do admire a lot of the things that you said, and I hope our viewing audience will take in, that information, use it to the best of their ability. Keep doing a great job, and tell your dad we said hello.
I forgot. I remember my last thing for when you get married. Always have a date night every week. Always, always, always.
Solid.
Christy Little.
Thank you, right, folks. Well, I hope you can see why we can see why we wanted her on the show. She's always been an extraordinary person to me, and I wanted to share her with the rest of you all over the globe. Hey, folks, I'm Roland Bubba Grimes. On behalf of my co-host, Mr. Self-Empowerment, Wilbur Skipper, my videographers, Stu and Stacy, team, Taria, Cheryl, Cooney, and everybody else out there, Maisha, everyone else out there who grabbed that handlebar with us to drive this thing down the road. I appreciate you. God bless you. Hey folks, we'll see you soon. Roland Sports Entertainment Show. Good night. God bless.